And hello, welcome everyone. Welcome to Trading Tech Talk. My name is Daniel, and I will be your host or your main host tonight. And today's topic is, well, you may have guessed it by the title, the Power Bundle with Auto Optimization for MotiveWave, which we just released this week. So it seems like we're releasing a new platform every week or every second week, and this really has been the case for us. So we had NinjaTrader 2 weeks ago, and before this we had Trading View, and now it's MotiveWave time. And today's webinar is going to be dedicated mostly on how to take full advantage of the Powerbundle 360, the latest generation with auto optimization with the MotiveWave platform. All right, but before I get started, as always, let's make the lawyers happy. If you're a trader or an investor or a scalper or a day trader, keep in mind that trading is risky and there are substantial risks. When you trade, only use your risk capital, which is defined as capital. Should you lose it, it will not affect your lifestyle. When it comes to statistics, backtest performance or hypothetical performance, keep in mind that these are not necessarily indicative of future performance. All right, so now that we got this out of the way, let me introduce our team. So as I said before, my name is Daniel, and I will do most of the talking, but I am not alone here today. I am accompanied by my colleague Homa. She will be manning the chat mostly, and Nicola, as always, is also here, and he will be, of course, also be in the chat if you have questions, but he will also be presenting the strategy part of our Power Bundle of Auto Optimization today. Talking about the chat, if you have questions, actually, I would prefer it if you write it into the Q&A section in Zoom. It's just easier for us to keep track of your questions there. And of course, should there be a question which is very pertinent to what I'm covering, Homa or Nicola, they will interrupt me and I will then address these questions live during the webinar. If you don't know us at all, we are tradingindicators.com. And together we have built over 500 indicators for various trading platforms such as NinjaTrader, MotiveWave, of course, which is today's platform, TradingView, MT4, MT5, TradeStation, MetaStock, and so forth. We not only build trading indicators, we also build fully automated trading robots. We build trading dashboards, we build trading apps, and so forth. And our tools now are used all over the world, and we believe that they really help investors or traders or trading educators or beginner traders to make better trading decisions along the way. Now, what's really important to us is that our tools, they're always a bit different from what you normally see. We try to stand out and we try to give you, the trader, as much support in your trading as possible by creating intelligent tools, by giving you all the information which may help you to make better trading decisions. Well, it's very important to us to not clutter the chart, to keep it clean, so that you can focus on the essentials and so forth. And for this, we are actually a quite versatile team. We have traders on board, we have designers, user experience experts, mathematicians, and so forth. And together, we're trying to, innovate or create as innovative products as possible. All right, but this is enough about us. Let's talk about what we're going to cover today in today's Trading Tech Talk. Now, I'm going to start off by quickly going through what has been new or what's new since the last Tech Talk at tradingindicators.com. Then we're going to dive in right afterwards to the topic at hand, which is the Power Bundle 360 with auto optimization for MotiveWave. So auto optimization, or also in short, AO. We're going to have plenty of demos. And as mentioned before, if there are questions, please write them into the chat. And let's keep this as interactive as possible. And if you're wondering, well, I may have missed last week's or the last Trading Tech Talk, or perhaps the Trading Tech Talk a month ago, where can I find it? Well, it's actually quite easy. You simply need to go to our YouTube channel. And if you're wondering where this one is, go to our homepage, tradingindicators.com. And in the top right corner, you will see a small YouTube icon. Click on it. And this will bring you directly to our YouTube channel. And this is also where we post all kinds of updates, not just our recordings of the trading tech talks, but also if we have perhaps a new tutorial available or a new announcement of a product, all these will be posted on our YouTube channel. And if you want to keep up to date, make sure you subscribe. All right, so what's new with tradingindicators.com? A couple of new things. I mentioned in the very beginning that we just released the Powerbundle 360 with auto optimization from MotiveWave. And guess what? Just perhaps an hour before this tech talk, we already updated it. So now it's in version 1.1. You may wonder why the quick update? Well, because we actually already had some beta users early on this week. And secondly, we've been using it ourselves. So we've been building strategies with our own indicators and creating scans and so forth. And we figured out some things which could be done a bit better. And this is in version 1.1 now. What this is in particular, I'm going to cover a bit later on today. We've also updated our MT4 portfolio tester, which is a backtest automation tool for MetaTrader 4. It now fully supports Windows 11. We are currently working, it's been requested for many, many months now. We are working on a members area for all our clients where you can find, where you can log into, you can see all the products that you own, you can see when updates are available and so forth. So this is in progress, and hopefully we're going to be able to present this to you in the near future. And we have started working on the super signals for NinjaTrader. Some of you may remember super signals are signals which are based on confluence, when multiple indicators are telling you the same thing. And this really creates a super signal. We've released it already for our Trading View platform. And the next platform for the super signals is going to be NinjaTrader. And the work has just started for this one as well. All right. So this is basically what has happened with trading indicators. Now let's jump right into the topic at hand, which is the Powerbundle AO. AO stands for Auto Optimization for MotiveWave. And in particular, we are going to cover some very basic things, such as how to install the Powerbundle AO, how to install updates. We're also going to cover how you can uninstall an older version. As we publish updates, you may not want to keep all the old version because it's going to clutter your MotiveWave. So I'm going to show you how to uninstall it, which is not as clear in MotiveWave as it should be. Then, of course, we're going to use our own indicators. We're going to apply them to the chart. We're going to run optimizations. We're going to look at all the different options that we have with the indicators. Then next, we're going to cover some of the more specialized topics, such as defining alerts. For example, if you want to be alerted when a new entry signal comes along, or perhaps a new exit signal. We're going to run scans. Not just simple scans, it's going to be more sophisticated scans for optimized signals, which will automatically use the optimal settings on a per symbol and on a per time frame basis. And finally, but not last, last but not least, we're going to create an automated strategy based on our Powerbundle AO with our MotiveWave strategy builder tool. And this is the part where Nicola will demo to you how this can be done. Okay, so let's get started. And before I jump into the chart, just a quick reminder what the Powerbundle 360 is all about, just in case you're not familiar with it. So the Powerbundle 360 consists of 3 complementary indicators. And we believe by having these 3 indicators, we cover each market cycle. So we have one indicator, for example, for trend trading, which is 1, 2, 3 strike, one for finding reversals or pullbacks, which is our Divergence Cloud indicator. And we also have one indicator for trading the sideways markets and for finding lasting breakouts, which is our Volatilitycrusher indicator. Now, real quick, what is 1, 2, 3 strike all about? I already mentioned it is for trend trading, and it will give you an entry signal when a strong trend has been established or confirmed. And it does so by looking at 3 metrics. It looks at it as an increase in volume, an increase in volatility, and there must be directionality in terms of price movements. And if everything comes together, an entry signal is shown. Divergence Cloud is, as the name suggests, an indicator based on divergence. And if you remember, divergence is always about the discrepancy between price and an underlying indicator. Most forms of divergence are based on standard indicators such as the RSI or stochastic or the MACD. We have taken a slightly different approach. We've looked at something a bit different, and we've looked at volatility. And we've observed that when an upwards price move, for example, contradicts volatility, so price goes up, volatility goes down, this also creates a form of bullish divergence in this case, which can be a very strong telltale sign that either the trend will resume after a pullback in the upwards direction, or perhaps price will reverse from a previously downwards trend to an upwards trend. And vice versa. When price goes down or starts to go down and we have an increase in volatility, this can be a telltale sign for a reversal to the downside. And we call this bearish divergence. And finally, we have Volatilitycrusher. As mentioned previously, it is an indicator designed to detect strong breakouts. And we define a strong breakout as a breakout that will last for quite some time. And as you can imagine, we as traders, we can take advantage of this by just simply entering in the direction of the breakout. And the hope is that price will continue in the same direction for a bit longer so that we can take advantage of this price move. All right, so all our three indicators, they not only show you when to enter into the trade, but they will also show you when to get out. So we have entry and exit signals because, entering is one thing, but once you're in a trade, you need to manage the trade. And this is why for all our indicators, we also tell you or suggest to you when you should partially book profits, perhaps take something off the table, or completely close out the trade. Our indicators, they not only run on different trading platforms. So right now, the Powerbundle AO is available for 4 different platforms. We have it available for TradingView, MetaStock, NinjaTrader, which we covered in the last TechTalk, but now also for MotiveWave, and more platforms are coming. But our indicators, they also run on many different, basically on all time frames and all asset classes. Basically everything that has price action, that has price data and volume data can be used with our Powerbundle AO. Every single indicator also comes with real-time statistics, which will show you directly on the chart how well the indicator has been performing, historically speaking. And you can use this information to make informed trading decisions. For example, if an indicator did not really work out historically, chances are that it probably will also continue to not work out. Or vice versa, if something really has been working well, the hope is that it will continue to work well going into the future. And in this latest version of our Powerbundle, this is where the name AO comes from, we have built in an auto optimization feature, which will find automatically the best parameters to trade. So no more fiddling around manually with the parameters. Of course, you can still do it if you want to, but now we also have the feature to find automatically the best parameters for you. And this is a huge time saver because, if you change symbols or if you change time frames, chances are you also need to tweak the parameters. And if you have to do this manually every time, you can imagine how tedious this is. Now, with our optimization feature, this is done automatically in a couple of seconds. And how this works, we're going to see right now. So
Daniel, just to interject, there's actually a great question here from Johnny. He wants to know, how do you determine which indicator to use based on the market cycle?
Yeah, actually, with our indicators, you don't even need to know exactly what the market cycle is, because the indicators, we call them self-reflecting. They will tell you if they're currently working or not. So they will tell you by means of our statistics that either they are dialed in, they work really well in the current market cycle, or they are not. And you simply use this information, use the numbers, the quantitative data to figure out whether the indicator is currently dialed in or not. So it's not really important to know whether you're trending or not, or whether we are in a reversing phase, because the indicator will tell you.
And another question, Daniel, on that line of thinking, Michael wants to know, do all 3 indicators run simultaneously, and do they provide conflicting signals often?
Good question. So first of all, yes, you can run them on the same chart. Absolutely no problem. And in fact, we have designed them so that they can be applied to the same chart because they all have different look and feels. or different defaults, I should say. So if you apply them all at the same time, not only will the statistics boxes, you'll see this in a second, all placed in different areas on the chart, so they don't overlap, but also the color of the entry signals, the size, the style, and so forth, they're all different. So you can tell right away where the signal comes from. So the indicators are designed to work together. Whether there are a lot of contradicting signals, I would say not too many. It can happen, of course. This is because they're based on different mathematical formulas, which not always come to the same conclusion. But oftentimes they do not conflict. They are, in fact, in line. And talking about this, the whole notion of super signals, I've mentioned that we're currently working on a super signals version for NinjaTrader, is based on the idea that if all three indicators, for example, they come to the same conclusion, or at least two of them come to the same conclusion, then this gives an even stronger signal. And yeah, so hopefully they definitely do not always contradict each other. It can happen, but oftentimes they're online. Okay.
We have another question here to answer, Daniel. John wants to know about over-optimization, and I know we've had a couple of these questions before from other users. So he's wondering if auto-optimization creates a situation where the indicator is over-optimized and simply fitted to the available price data, and maybe not necessarily the best parameters for the future price moves.
Yeah, so this is a common question which is always brought up when you tweak your parameters to work well, historically speaking. And the question is, will this continue moving forward? So my answer to this is it is always important, regardless of whether you think it's over-optimized or not, to dial in the indicator to the current market conditions. And the idea is that market conditions will not change all the time continuously. In fact, they will last for a bit longer. And once you're dialed in, the hope is that, since you're dialed in, the market conditions will not always change immediately. It will give you also good signals moving forward. Now, over-optimization typically comes in when you actually, when you have an automated strategy and you back test it and you really optimize your entries and exits so you get the biggest possible profit factor, the most dollars made per trade and this can happen when, for example, you include all the biggest winners and magically cut out all the losers. We don't do this in our approach. We're not as fine-grained, which I believe is an advantage because it prevents some over-optimization. We simply look at the success rates by comparing our exit signals to the entry signals. We do not take into account the size of the winner or the size of the losers. We're just looking at success rate. And I think by doing this, by putting a bit of fuzziness into the logic, we also putting a bit of a safeguard against over-optimization. Any other questions?
I think we're good for now. We'll probably have to stop you in a few minutes because they're coming in, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay, let's move on. Okay, so let's jump right into the charts. I'm going to switch over to my MotiveWave platform, and let's start with this chart of Apple. And that's a chart on the 15-minute time frame. And we're going to start with our trend trading indicator, which is 1 to 3 strike. All right, so to apply it, and in fact, what I should do first, before I show you how to apply it to the chart, I forgot about this. I'm going to show you real quick how you can install the Powerbundle 360 AO, because I get a lot of questions, and it's not very obvious in MotiveWave how to do this. So how do I install an indicator? And this holds true for any indicator which comes from a third party, which is not already built into MotiveWave. Okay, so once you obtain a third-party indicator, such as our Powerbundle 360 AO, a download file or a so-called jar file will be delivered to you, which you can save on your desktop or on your documents folder or wherever you want. It's important that it's saved somewhere on your computer. Okay, so now it's saved. Next, you need to import this file into MotiveWave. And the way to do this is you're going to go to Study up here. And there's actually no import option all here. So what you need to do is you have to go to All Studies. It's a bit cryptic, but you have to click on All Studies here. And in this dialog, which pops up, now we have an import button, which you can see here. So you're going to click on this. And here you will select the jar file, which I mentioned previously, which is saved on your computer. I'm going to click Add. Okay, then you navigate to your jar file. So perhaps it is somewhere in your downloads folder. Let's say here, just go down real quick. Oh, so many files. Okay, so here, for example, it could be the Powerbundle 360 AO jar file. I select Open, and once done, this will close. I'm not going to click on it, and you click on Import here. And don't be discouraged if you don't see any confirmation message, because there will be none. So just click Import. This dialog will simply disappear, and if everything went well, the indicator now will be available in MotiveWave. And if you bought the Powerbundle 360 AO, the indicator will show up under Study in the subfolder Trading Indicators. So this will open up, and then you have, for example, the 123 Strike AO version 1.1, Divergence Cloud AO version 1.1 or higher if there's an update in the future, and Volatilitycrusher AO version 1.1. And once they're there, they should be good to go. Should we ever publish an update, which is very likely, based on all your feedback, by the way. So most of our updates, they are driven by user feedback, because you guys have so many good ideas of how we can further improve our indicators. And most of them, they're very smart, so we'd love to put them in. And we publish these updates. And once available, you basically can perform the same steps. You're going to get a new jar file. You will, again, go to Study. All studies appear, go through the import process, and then the indicator will or may show up as Volatilitycrusher AO version 1.2 or 1.3 or something like this. And the update is then available. Don't worry if you have multiple versions, like let's say 1.4 and 1.41. This is no problem. They will not conflict with each other. But they may clutter your space. So you have all these different versions here. Maybe it's too much for you. You may want to keep this clean. And you may wonder, how can I get rid of an indicator or a study in MotiveWave? Again, it is not so obvious, but there's a way to do it. So let me quickly show you how you can deinstall an indicator. So the way to do this is you have to first navigate to the MotiveWave extensions folder. If you're on Windows, this extension folder is typically located. I'm going to go over to my Windows Explorer. So if you're on Windows, what you need to do, you're going to go to your C drive, if I can find it. I go to, one second. Quickly go to my C drive, if I can find it. Of course, I probably should have thought this through. I can see it here already, but I'd like to show you how to navigate to it. So what you can do, you can just simply type in C:\, which will navigate to your C drive, basically to your root of the C drive. In there, you're going to go to Users. You go to username, in my case, DS. And now in this user folder, you will find another folder called MotiveWave Extensions. And if you use Edge Pro X, the folder is going to be called Edge Pro X Extensions. If you don't know what Edge Pro X is, it's basically MotiveWave, but white labeled for Edge Clear, which is a different broker. But most of you, I believe, they have MotiveWave. So you click to the MotiveWave Extensions folder, and in there, you will now see all the files that are installed for your current MotiveWave installation. This means all the third-party files. You will not find the built-in indicators in here because they are stored somewhere else, but all the third-party files, they are in here. And if you sometimes wonder why MotiveWave is loading up slowly or it takes forever, it could be because you have so many files installed. Perhaps it's time for a cleanup. And to deinstall an indicator in MotiveWave, all you need to do is to simply click on it and then press delete. One important thing is that MotiveWave needs to be closed for that. Otherwise, you won't be able to delete the file. So first, close MotiveWave, navigate to the MotiveWave Extensions folder, and then select the file that you want to delete, and delete it from the file system. And that's it. Next time you start up MotiveWave, these studies will not be there anymore. Okay, so now that you know how to install, update, and potentially remove an indicator in MotiveWave, let's have a look at our new generation of the Powerbundle AO indicators for MotiveWave. And let's start with 1, 2, 3 strike. So I'm going to go to Study, navigate down to Trading Indicators, and you're going to open 1, 2, 3 strike AO version 1.1 or whatever the latest version is. All right, so you just simply click Create in the default settings. All right, so this will now take a little time. And once applied to the chart, it will look like this. So if you have the older version of 1, 2, 3 strike, you will notice, well, the first thing you probably notice is this beautiful new statistics box up here. We've made it a bit more beautiful, I believe. It's more elegant and has a little bit of shading and so forth. So it definitely looks differently from the second or the previous generation. But the data in there are basically identical with a few exceptions. Okay, so you see the statistics box here. And you will also see on the chart directly our entry signals, which are these bigger arrows here. So for 1, 2, 3 strike, these are these lined arrows, green and facing upwards if it's a long entry signal, or red facing downwards if it is a short entry signal. All right, and with every entry, we also have exit suggestions because, as mentioned previously, all of our indicators, they not only tell you when to get in, but also when to get out. And these exit signals are denoted by these little white arrows here facing into the opposite direction of the entry. So here we had one long entry, one partial exit here, another here, and 1/3 here. Okay, and in this case, we actually still have an open position for this particular entry. And how do I know this? Well, I can figure this out by clicking on the settings here. Now, the first thing you will notice, there's a bit of an overlap now between the statistics box and the settings. Okay, no problem, because we can actually move this settings box around very easily. I'm actually going to do this. I'm going to move this from the top left position to the bottom left position so that it does not overlap anymore. In order to do this, I'm going to go to Instant Efficiency Statistics. That's this box here. I'm going to say top left. No, I'm going to say bottom left. Once done, it's going to move down, and now we don't have an overlap anymore. Okay, but back to the topic at hand, and I believe I miscounted actually. So disregard my comment. I didn't see this arrow here. So we had one entry and 1, 2, 3, 4 exit, and actually we are flat now. But how do I know that we are flat? Oh, very simple. Again, I need to go to my settings here, and these are the quick settings. So by just simply clicking on this little wheel here, you get the quick settings. And what they're quick settings, I'm going to tell you in a second. And here we can see that the long partial exits, for long trades are set to 4. This basically means for every entry signals, we may have up to 4 exit signals. And once we had 4, we're basically flat. It assumes that the position is now closed. So if every partial exit, we take a bit off the position. Okay. We may not always have 4 partial exits. I said we may have at most 4, but we may have less. For example, here for this short trade, which worked out quite nicely. We had a short trade, price moved down, but here we only had 1 partial exit. Why not more? Well, the reason is because here we had an entry in the opposite direction. And if this occurs, this happens, it is assumed that you close out your short trade and you open a long trade. In this case, we only had 1 partial exit, and then we closed out everything when this green entry signal came along. Nonetheless, with a good profit to the short side. And sometimes if the trade does not work out, such as here, we had 1 long entry, no partial exits at all. We just closed it out when the short exit come along with a small loss in this case. Okay, so this is basically how the indicator works. Now, back to the new feature. Well, it's called auto-optimized AO for a reason. Why is that? Because the indicator has automatically chosen the best parameters for you. How do I know this? Well, because it's enabled. You see this little box here, optimize on load, which basically means as soon as I apply the indicator to the chart, it will start optimizing and finding the best parameters for you. Now, the second parameter is also important, optimization mode. Now, before I explain this, let me first explain to you what does optimization actually mean in the context of this indicator. Well, so you can see here, we have all kinds of all kinds of settings on the chart. So see here, these ones here: volume period, volatility period, excellent high volume reversal, fast MA period, and so forth. And whenever I change something, just by moving it around, you see this? Everything updates. Everything on the chart updates, but also our statistics update. And see how much they went down. So just by playing around with this, the statistics will update immediately. And well, I can try to figure out good parameters just by doing this, by playing around with these sliders. But as you can imagine, it's quite random and very tedious. Imagine just to try to find a good setting just by doing this all the time on a per symbol and time frame basis. Very tedious. Now, here's where our cool optimization feature comes in. We actually have built in a function which will find the best settings for you. And all you need to do is to click on this optimize button. So right now I messed around with these parameters. They're not optimal anymore, so I moved them. How do I get them back to the optimal settings? Well, quite easy. All I need to do is to click here and now observe the statistics and everything on the chart. So I click here with this little progress bar. It's now finding the best parameters. And once done, you can see the statistics increased a lot. And also these signals on the chart are much better now because now we're using the optimal settings. Okay. Now, as a keen observer, you may have noticed, nothing really changed in the sliders here. This doesn't do anything because all these values, they stayed the same. Yes, they actually did change, but this is a limitation of MotiveWave. It does not update in real time on these sliders. So what you need to do is to get out of these quick settings and reopen them. And once you do this, you will now see the optimal settings which were being used for this particular symbol and time frame. And you can see here, for example, that for our long partial exits, we had a value of 2, meaning that after 2 partial exits, we close out every long position because this has been deemed as optimal for this particular symbol for Apple on the 15-minute time frame. Now, what's also really cool is that whenever you change time frame or symbol and the optimize onload feature is on, set to yes, it will automatically apply the optimal settings for you. You don't have to click this optimize button anymore. So let me change it now from the 15-minute time frame to the 5-minute time frame, for example. I click here. It's optimizing again. It's taking a little bit. And now we're on the 5-minute time frame. Again, we're using the optimal settings for this particular time frame. As you can see here, they have changed again. They're not the same as for the 15-minute time frame because, you know, the 5-minute time frame is more short term. Different settings are required to dial in the indicator to this particular chart. And this not only occurs when you change time frames, but also when you change symbols. It will automatically optimize. Now, you may wonder, what is this optimization mode all about? It's called Simplified. Okay, let me explain. So how the optimization works is it will basically try out as many combinations as possible of these parameters in the objective to find the best combination. So it will try maybe for volatility period, a value of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up until maybe 100. Same for volume period. Same for fast MA and slow MA. As you can imagine, as you're trying out all these different combinations, there's a lot of computations needed, which take a long time to compute. And sometimes it's taken that long that it won't even complete within reasonable time. This is why we have different optimization modes here, where you can specify how many combinations should be tried out. So for example, if you use the simplified mode, the optimization algorithm will try out 144 combinations or configurations of all parameters. Now, if I change this to standard, it's going to be a bit more, because that means we're going to try out more combinations to find an optimal. So I click optimize. And as you can see, once this is done, once this progress bar is finished, we'll see that we now probably have tested through way more than 144 combinations. So this is almost done. Let's just wait. And once done, we can see here now we went through 156 combinations to find the optimal settings. Now, what should you use for your trading? Well, it really depends how what you're currently doing. If you just want to scan through charts quickly to see what is working, what is not working, you're not really there to fully dial everything in. I would always only go with simplified, because if you leave standard on, or even exhaustive, which is the slowest one, which tests even more combinations than this, it will take quite some time even to change time frames. So for example, if I change back to 50 minutes, if I do this and standard is on, we will now have to wait again, I don't know, 5 seconds or 8 seconds until this is done, which can be a bit too slow for you because you just want to browse through some charts and you don't want to wait all the time. So if that's too long for you, then I suggest that you simply go back to either simplified, set done here, and you click optimize. And then once you change time frame, it will update much quicker, as you can see here. Okay. All right. So this is where the optimization mode comes in. Homer and Nicola, are there any questions at this point with respect to the optimization?
Not with respect to the, oh, actually, yes, we have one right here from Satvir. Does the optimize feature use a long look back period for higher time frames and a shorter look back period for smaller time frames?
That's a great question. Actually, thanks for the segue. That's a great segue. So in the latest update, which you just published about an hour ago, so if you already have access to the AO version, check for the update. So in this update, we have actually made a change how this is done. It used to be based on the date. For example, for the 1 minute time frame, we went 5 days back. For the 50 minutes time frame, we went, I don't know, 30 days back. And for the daily time frame, maybe a couple of years. So it used to be based on, a date. Too complicated and not consistent enough. Because what if we are on a tick chart? What we're going to use, I don't know, half a day, 2 days? It depends how many ticks we're looking at. Not obvious. We thought it is much simpler to define the look back in bars. So that it's always consistent. So, we're always looking at the 1,000 last bars, or perhaps of the 500 last bars, either of the 50-minute time frame or the 1 minute time frame or the daily time frame. So it always scales automatically because it's based on bars. So this was the main change that we've done in the latest update. It is now based on bars. And actually, there's another big advantage of doing it this way when it comes to scanning, which I will cover just a bit later today. Okay. So, and this is this parameter. Here you can set how many bars your optimization should be based on. So by default, it is set to 1,000. And click optimize. But if you can change this to maybe, I don't know, 2,000. Yeah, which will give you different settings, but also take a bit longer to optimize because now more data is taken into account. Or you can change to 500 if you really only want to optimize based on very recent price action. That's really up to you. Any other question?
Daniel, I guess this is as good a time as any to answer this question, but we have the Powerbundle AO now for MotiveWave, and we have it for NinjaTrader.
Mm-hmm.
So what makes MotiveWave better than, not so much in respect to the indicators, but just in general? Why would you pick MotiveWave over NinjaTrader or reverse? I thought they're pretty equal. Yeah,
and I like both platforms, and so there are some advantages which come with MotiveWave. For example, the scanner. We're going to cover this in a bit. It's much faster than NinjaTrader. I don't know what NinjaTrader is doing, but the market analyzer is really tedious to use, and it's quite slow. But NinjaTrader, for example, has the advantage that you can control your chart much better. For example, you can control for each chart how many bars should be loaded, like the last 2,000 bars or 3,000. MotiveWave, you can't do this. Loading is based on how far you scroll back, and which since optimization is based on, let's say you don't have enough bars loaded for your look back period. So MotiveWave may load the chart, but maybe you don't have 5,000 bars loaded. For sure you don't. When you just open it up, then you first would need to scroll back. So at least 5,000 bars are on the chart to get the full optimization picture, which is a bit annoying when it comes to MotiveWave. So there are pros and cons for both. I find MotiveWave is very innovative when it comes to these quick settings. These are all built in. We have something similar for NinjaTrader, but we needed to program these manually, and MotiveWave was already provided for us natively, which was pretty cool. But besides this, yeah, they're pretty even.
Great. And also another question is, do you need to press, let's say you're leaving the indicator open all day long while you're day trading, do you need to keep pressing the optimize button to keep it optimized?
Yeah, great question. I even forgot to cover this feature. We do have, and you can see this down here, a re-optimization feature, which is disabled by default, but you can enable it. And once enabled, you can specify after how many bars I would like to or the indicator should re-optimize. So in this case, after 30 bars, let's say it's a 1 minute time frame, after 30 minutes, the indicator will automatically re-optimize and find the best settings for you. So that way you don't have to click optimize all the time. That's pretty cool. We also have the same feature for Ninja, for example.
Great. And sorry, last question on this topic is, if you're optimizing using exhaustive mode, but you're on a higher time frame, like the daily or the hourly, you'll probably get less signals because it's just more selective. Is it okay to use a continuous contract in that case? I'm not 100% sure what's intended by this, but maybe you'll understand.
Oh yeah, so this is it's a question for futures. Yeah, absolutely. I think so. Futures, they expire after 3 months, depending on what future we're talking about. But if it's an index future, it expires after 3 months. And if you're in a high time frame, you would only technically have 3 months of data, which is not enough to perform any reasonable optimization. So where the continuous contract comes from, it's basically a synthetic contract where all these expiring contracts, historically speaking, are put together into the same chart, so to say, into the same price data, so that we can actually perform some longer term analysis of the chart. So yes, absolutely, I would definitely use the historical contract for. Okay. No problem.
And Ali's, to answer your question, yes, they do work on TechTalk, work on any chart. And Ali's wants to know, is there a best time frame for cryptocurrencies, like the 5 minute time frame? I'd say I find these indicators work particularly well on cryptos because they're so volatile, and there's a lot of interesting price data coming in. But Daniel, do you have any comment on that? Is there a best time frame for cryptos for these indicators?
So my comment, and I always give the same answer. I don't know, but I don't need to know. All I need to do is to look at the statistics. They will tell me if it's working or not. That's all I need. I focus on. So I try to keep my trading as simple as possible. So I could reason about the market all day long and why something should be working better on crypto, on a smaller time frame on crypto, wherever. But in the end, it all comes down on hard facts, and this is what these numbers will give me. So this is why I trust them.
That's all the questions.
Okay, great. Daniel, I have a question here. So David uses TradeStation, and he wants to know, so the Powerbundle 360 is available right now for TradeStation. We don't have the AO version yet. So can you explain to him what he needs to do differently on the 360 version, and if we will have the AO version? Because I know there are some limitations with TradeStation.
Yeah, so right now you don't have this button basically, which will automatically find the best parameters for you. So what you would need to do is to do it the old-fashioned way, just to play around with the parameters to find the best ones that work. But you have to do it manually. There's no way around right now for TradeStation. Whether we're going to have the AO version available, we don't know yet. We're hoping we're going to have it next year. We're investigating this right now, but we have not concluded yet whether this will be fully possible. So, but stay tuned. This is definitely on our to-do list. We definitely will investigate it and try our best to make it happen. And if it's possible, we will, of course, publish it.
Okay, great. Thanks.
All right. So let's move on. Let's look at the second indicator, Divergence Cloud. So for this, I'm going to switch symbols. I'm going to go to this one here. Oh, what happened here? A little MotiveWave bug. All right. Okay, this is the SPY ETF, which tracks the S&P 500. And I'm going to apply our Divergence Cloud indicator to it. So I'm going to go down to Trading Indicators, Divergence Cloud AO, also version 1.1 as of today, and click OK. And once applied, you see a couple of things. First of all, you're going to see that this statistics box is on the right-hand side. Remember, for the 1, 2, 3 strike, it was here. For Divergence Cloud, it's here. And this is, again, by design, because our indicators were designed to all work together, to be applied all to the same chart. And one thing we did, just to keep your life easy, is to put these boxes by default all in different areas of the chart. So Divergence Cloud is here, 1, 2, 3 strike was up here, and Volatilitycrusher, which we will cover next, is going to be down here. All right. So this is Divergence Cloud. You have the same statistics box. But what else do you see? Well, at least I can see it. Hopefully you can see it too on the screen share. These little greenish clouds on the chart, or reddish clouds. These are our divergence indications. Red for a bearish divergence, and greenish, it's a bit faint, for a bullish divergence. And of course, you can change the intensity of these clouds using the settings. I'm not going to get into this right now. So this is the first thing you can see. And many of our traders, they actually use these clouds as a filter for their own trading system. For example, they may have, I'm just making it up, maybe a trading system in place which, works based on the market being oversold or overbought or something. So they get their own signals, and then they back up these signals by also looking at the cloud. And they will only take a long trade, for example, if the cloud is at the same time greenish. Or vice versa, they will only take a short trade if the cloud is reddish. So this could be a great filter for you. And in fact, Nicholas, later on today, hopefully it's not going to be too long from now, because I'm, again, talking way too much, is going to show you how to implement an automated strategy where we're applying exactly this filter to the strategy. All right, so this is Divergence Cloud, but we not only have these clouds on the chart, we also have our own entry signals. Again, green, big green for long, and big red for short signals. You may wonder where the lines, we had these nice lines, 1, 2, 3 strike here. Why are there no lines? Again, these indicators were designed to work together. Imagine we had 1, 2, 3 strike also on the chart, which comes with these lines, and Divergence could also have these lines on. It would be super, super confusing, because all these lines would overlap and cross each other. It would be very hard to read. This is why by default, we do not show these entry-exit lines on the chart, but you can enable them. You simply go to the settings, go to display, and select show entry-exit lines to yes. Once done, also see the exact same lines. So, but we're hiding them by default, just in case if you want to use them all indicators at the same time on the same chart, but you can enable them if you want. And the logic is exactly the same thing. For every entry signal, we have a number of partial exits. In this case, we had 1, 2, 3, 4 partial exits here. And the same holds true for the short side. And again, this is the maximum numbers of exits that we may have. So let me go to the settings real quick, see what these are. So for long partial exits, we have set them to 4, and also for shorts. That means for every long signals, we may have at most 4 partial exits, but we may have less. And when can we have less? Well, when a signal in the opposite direction occurs. So here again, we had the long entry, we had 1, 2, 3 partial exits, and then we had our final exit, even though there's no little green thingy here, when the short signal came around, which basically assumes close out your remaining long position and now go short from this point on. All right. In addition to all this, we again see our statistics box, and we can see the long efficiency and the short efficiency. Both fairly even, actually, by coincidence, exactly the same, 76.92%. This is really just a coincidence. It's not a bug. It just happens that our long signals worked out exactly the same as our short signals for this particular example. Okay, now one quick remark regarding these statistics. So for 1, 2, 3 strike, but also for Divergence Cloud, typically our winners are way bigger than our losers. This is just something that we investigate internally, and we have done some research, and we know, statistically speaking, our winners typically are bigger than our losers. This is why, even with statistics around 60 or 50%, you can still be profitable. This holds true for both 1, 2, 3 strike and Divergence Cloud. When it comes to Volatilitycrusher, which we're going to cover next, this is not the case. I explained to you what would be a good range of statistics to trade on Volatilitycrusher. All right. And of course, again, we have the optimization feature built in. We have optimize unload. We have optimization mode, simplified, standard, and exhaustive. And we have the optimize button. And you will see once I change, for example, from the 5-minute time frame to the 50-minute time frame, everything will update. So now we can see that our statistics have changed. All the settings here have changed because now different optimal parameters have been used. By the way, you do not need to use the optimization mode. You could still use all of our indicators the old-fashioned way without the optimization. All you need to do for this is simply click this optimize unload button and select it to no. Once this is done, we will no longer use the optimization mode, and we just make it all based on manual mode. For example, if you know that your favorite settings, regardless of the symbol, is perhaps something like this, and you don't want it to change ever, you keep it like this, you switch off optimization, and then whenever you change time frame, the exact same settings will be applied without any optimization attempt. Okay. Another benefit, I'm not saying this is a benefit, for us, the real benefit is to have this optimization, but one use case, let's say, for switching up the optimization on load is that it will speed up your chart loading. Yeah. So now let's see if I go perhaps to the 50-minute time frame or the 5-minute time frame, it's super fast because no optimization is happening in the background, which perhaps as you just manually go through charts, this is perhaps what you want. You want them to load really fast. And only once you've decide, okay, I want to trade SPY 5 minutes, and now I want to optimize, then you would simply go here, click manually on the optimize button to find out what the optimal settings are. Okay, but just for browsing through charts from symbol to symbol, from time frame to time frame, you can leave the optimize on load option set to no, which will speed up the chart loading. This is up to you. Okay, so this is 1, 2, 3 strike, and now let's move on to Volatilitycrusher. Unless there are any questions, are there any questions at this point?
Wayne wants to know how the MotiveWave version compares to the TradingView version of the Powerbundle 360 AO.
Yeah. So truthfully, the MotiveWave version is more powerful than TradingView for the simple reason that with MotiveWave, we can try out more combinations of parameters. With TradeStation, we're very limited of what can be done in terms of complexity, because if we try too many combinations, we're gonna get an over complexity exception, and the indicator will not load at all because it times out. It takes too long to load on TradingView, and then the indicator will not show up at all. For MotiveWave, we do not have these restrictions, and also for NinjaTrader, which we covered 2 weeks ago, we do not have this restriction. So in terms of how the optimization works, MotiveWave is more powerful than TradingView.
Daniel, we also have a lot of questions. I think we can answer them in one fell swoop about stop losses. So what I've been answering is that 1, 2, 3 strike and Divergence Cloud don't have hard stop losses. So you want to set your own manually, your own discretion, but they do come with logical and intelligent and profitable exit suggestions or partial exits, like you can highlight on the chart there, where we have an entry and then we have our suggested exits. And Daniel's just about to start highlighting the indicator, which does come with a hard stop loss, which is Volatilitycrusher.
Exactly. And let me just try to find an example where it's really pertinent. Try to find a good example of a bad trade where you probably do not want to keep it open for too long. Of course, now I can't find anything. That's Murphy's Law. But let's just say this one, it's also not a good example. I'm just trying to find a really bad trade. This trade seemed to be quite good. But sometimes you have a trade where, wow, this one really went into a steep drawdown. I would have never kept it on that low, that open. This one here, for example. Look at this trade. Yeah, this buy signal. So technically, for this buy trade, you would open the long entry at this point, and you would only exit it here that's probably way too much that you want to risk, because that's a big amount of well, this is a 5-minute chart, but this seems quite a bit. So what we suggest that you will supplement your trading strategy with a manual stop loss. Perhaps you put it at the most reasonable swing point, maybe down here, which seems to be some sort of zone of resistance. Look at here, price really moved up, or bounced here a couple of times. This, to me, could have been a more logical stop loss. And once price goes below this, I will manually close out the position. So you don't have to blindly follow, and you should not blindly follow these signals and keep positions open for a big drawdown. You should always supplement it with your own stop loss. Yeah. Luckily here, it was not much possible. This was the only bad trade which I saw, really bad trade. The other ones, they got closed out very quickly. So this short trade here, even though probably also not profitable, it closed out very near to where it was. And the other ones, they worked out quite nicely across the board. Okay, any other questions? No? Okay.
I think we're good for now, Daniel.
All right, so let me move on to our last indicator, which is Volatilitycrusher. Okay, so for this example, I've chosen the NASDAQ index futures on the 1-minute time frame. All right, so we had 50 minutes, 5 minutes, and 1 minute, but we're not limited to this, by the way, before I show the indicator. We have users who use our indicators on the tick chart. We have then other users who use it on the daily chart or weekly chart. It doesn't really matter. Whenever there's price action, these indicators are applicable. Okay, so for 1, 2, 3 strike, again, we're going to go to study, and we're going down to trading indicators. And in this case, we select Volatilitycrusher version 1.1 and apply it to the chart. And this one is the slowest to load. You probably saw this already. Well, it took a little bit to load. And but now it's loaded, and we can see again our statistics box. This in this case at the bottom right, and again we see all the statistics that we already know. Okay, so this indicator works a bit differently than the other ones. Let me just find some good examples. So for example, here we had a long entry. Okay, so you go long here, and as soon as you have the entry signal, you will know, the indicator will tell you right away, where is my stop loss, which is this line here, and where are my 2 profit targets. And for this particular indicator, we will always have the same number of targets, 2. Why 2? This is something we have found out internally, that this works best in this particular case. So here we had our long entry, had our stop here, and these 2 profit targets. And as soon as you hit a target, you will take out a percentage of your position size, perhaps 50%, perhaps 25%. That's up to you. And then you keep the remaining position open until you hit the second target, or you get stopped out. So in this case, this trade hit both targets. It doesn't always have to be the case. This trade here, for example, it hit first. This is a short trade. It hit the first target and then got stopped out at this level. And you may wonder, why is this stop level, not straight? Very simple reason, because it's a trading stop. As your trade unfolds in the direction that you want it to, if it's a long trade, the trading stop will tighten your position to lock in profits. So in this case here, even though this one hit both targets, but eventually the stop loss was at this level here, which was way above our entry, just to lock in profits in case price should turn against us. Okay. So this is basically how this indicator works, and it trades both to the long and the short side. Now, what's important for this indicator, it's actually my personal favorite indicator because it can be dialed in very nicely to the lower time frames, works really great on tech charts, is that it is quite selective. And even on the 1-minute time frame, it typically only gives 2 or 3 trades a day, which to me is just the right amount. I don't want to overtrade. Okay, so this is my personal preference. But what you need to keep in mind is that with this indicator, our winners are typically smaller than our losers. We're very honest about this. This is why for this one, you want to see really high IAT statistics above 73% or 70 or above 70%. In this case, in our look back period, we had 100% winners for the long trades and 73% winners for the short trades. Okay, and one other thing for this indicator is that this is the most complex ones in terms of calculation logic. It takes the longest to apply to the chart because of the mathematics which are behind it. And now imagine if you're running optimizations on this, this will even multiply the complexity. This is why for this particular one, I like to switch off optimize on load because it makes this chart quite sluggish in terms of loading, just because it's so complex. Just observe here, if I go from the 1 minute time frame to the 5 minute time frame, it takes maybe 10 seconds to load. For me, a bit too much for my personal taste. This is why I like to switch off this feature. Once it's switched off, okay, it's now set to no. Now go back to the 1 minute time frame. The chart will stay immediately, so just a bit faster. But again, it's a question of preference. So I like to keep it switched off, and then I will optimize on demand by clicking this button here, which is just as good. So this is a personal preference which I use. All right. Any other questions? And we're running over time as usual again.
Yeah, John wants to know if the entry signal shows up on the open of the signal bar or on the close, because he sees the exit lines are drawn from the open.
The exit lines are drawn based on this box here, actually. I mean, I cannot go through all the parameters of this indicator. We do have an extensive masterclass on how all these indicators work. We also have documentation, but actually the entries are calculated based on this box, which basically is the range of our look back period, like the lowest low and the highest high in that range. And based on what the size of the box is, our exits are calculated for the profit targets, but also for our initial stop loss.
So actually, sorry, he was referring to the previous indicator, not Volatilitycrusher.
Oh.
I guess he was referring to Divergence Cloud.
Oh, okay. But it's the same answer for all of them. The entry signals, they are always drawn at the close of the bar. This is where they're confirmed. Because intra-bar, things may change may reverse against you, or things may not be confirmed yet. So we recommend to always wait until the bar is closed. And this is actually how this indicator works. And then the arrow is shown at the close of the bar. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks. And will we have time? Alice wants to know if you can display the BTC USD chart and add the indicators to it.
I don't think I have data for it. That's the problem. I'm connected with my YouTube IQ feed account. I don't think I have data. I would totally do it. Nah. But as Nicola said, they work great on cryptos because they're so versatile, volatile, and all our indicators can be done very nicely to cryptos on lower time frames as well as higher time frames.
Another question Alice had is if these indicators should be on the same chart together or separately, and maybe the reasons why.
It's up for preference. So let me just show you. They can definitely be applied all together. So I can go to steady and now apply 1, 2, 3 strike to it. And now apply also Divergence Cloud to it. And it's going to give you a very beautiful picture on the chart. So you can see here, it looks amazing, no? To me, it's too much. I like to keep my trading clean, but I mean, for some of you, this may give you all the information that you need to make good trades, to see all the clouds, all the entries of the indicators individually. You can easily look for confluence. Some have 2 indicators either contradict each other, like here, or something, or confirm each other, like here. Up to you. For me, maybe a bit too much, but it's definitely possible to have them all on the same chart.
While you have the indicators on the chart, Daniel, John Crab wants to know why, if the signals are printed at the close of a bar, do we put things like our exit lines or our arrows pointing to the high and low of the bar?
It's just a visual thing. Imagine I draw this in the middle here. It's just would overlap with the price bar. But I think every single indicator out there does it this way, just not to overlap. But all the statistics, they're based on the actual close price, so we're not cheating here.
Yeah, I think that's a great point to make, because people often assume, oh, you're exclaiming that you're actually getting the exit on the high of the bar, the low of the bar. It's really just a visual thing, but the statistics are based on the close of the bar, so there's no worry there.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay, so let's move on. I mean, I spent a lot of time showing these indicators, which also was the main purpose. But now let me show you some of the other things which are really cool in MotiveWave. And let's start with alerts. So MotiveWave has a very nice built-in alert mechanism, which, if you're familiar with MotiveWave, can be enabled with this little clock symbol here. So you click on it. And once clicked, you'll see this dialog box. And under condition, you can now define an alert. So what does an alert do? As the name suggests, it will give you a notification. It can be all kinds of notifications you can see here, email, sound, whatever. So it will give you a notification whenever something happens. And in our case, we can generate notifications from when we have either an entry signal for a particular indicator, say maybe a long entry for 1 to 3 strike, or if we have an exit signal. Because you might be interested, okay, now I'm in a trade, I want to see if the indicator suggests an exit for me. I want to be alerted when this happens. So this can easily be done in MotiveWave. All you need to do is to, first of all, apply the indicator that you want to use for your alerts to the chart. This is a precondition. Okay, right now we have all 3 applied, which is great. This is no problem. And then under condition here, you will scroll down all the way until the indicator that you're interested in. Actually, it's a bit hard to see because you know what? For this particular example, I'm only going to use one indicator. Let's just use perhaps a Divergence Cloud just to keep it clean. Okay, so now the only Divergence Cloud is applied. And let's see, we want to be alerted whenever there is a long entry signal, such as this one. What we need to do, again, we go to our alert box here. Under condition, you're going to scroll down all the way to the non-built-in values, such as price, bid, ask. These are all built in MotiveWave. But all the way at the end, after volume, the custom alert conditions show up. So in this case, we have long entry, long partial, exit, short entry. You're going to ignore all these, and you're going to scroll all the way down to the ones that say alert in brackets. This is just something that is a bit particular in MotiveWave, but you just have to take our face value for it. So for this particular indicator, you go to a long entry, make sure it says alert next to it, and we'll select it. Okay, that's the first thing. The next thing is, and it's going to be the same for every single alert. So we do this once, you understand how it works for all the other ones. So first we select our alert signal, so long entry, which has alert in parentheses. Okay, it's selected. And then here you will choose cross above. Don't question it. It's just, it's built. It is what you need to do. Just take my word for it. So you choose cross above. Okay, now it gets a bit tricky, but not really. So here we are on the NQ futures chart. What you need to put in here is the minimal tick value for that symbol. Sounds cryptic, but if you know futures, you know they always jump up in increments of 0.25. So every single price is like a multiple of 0.25. So what you would put in here is 0.25. Right? This holds true for basically for all the futures out there. Okay. If you are not sure what to put, you can always put something even smaller, like 0.01 or something. The only time you might get in trouble with this one if you're trading some kind of weird cryptocurrency, which is very, very small, like a Shiba Inu or something, then you would have to put the minimal or the smallest value, maybe something like this. But for everything normal, in quotes, just put the min tick value like 0.25 if it's a futures contract, or 0.01 if it's an equity or a stock. Okay, and that's all you need to do. You click OK, and now this alert has been created. And you can see the alert here now in this alerts tab in MotiveWave that this alert has been created. And the same, you can define short alerts or for short signals the same way. Again, you click on the alert symbol. Under condition, you scroll all the way down to short entry, which has alert in brackets. Don't take this one up here, which doesn't have alert. Take this one. You select it. Then you select cross above, and you put, again, the min tick value, which is 0.25 for this one. And click OK. Again, now the alert has been created. So this is how you create alerts for MotiveWave. Now, let's move on to scans. You can also scan in MotiveWave very nicely. If you want to scan through a whole bucket of symbols, perhaps on multiple time frames for entry or exit signals, you can do this too. And in order to do this, you click on the Scan tab down here, which will open up a new window. And we're going to start by defining a brand new scan. So you're going to go up here to this little new icon, click on it, and you have this new scanner window. And just as a side remark, if you do not have access to the alert feature or the scan feature, then this is an indication that your MotiveWave version is not upgraded enough. So you may have to upgrade to the Pro or Ultimate version to have these features available. Okay, so let's create a new scan. Let's scan for, what should we scan for? For 1 to 3 strike long signals. Okay, but it's going to work the same for every indicator. So this is the name of our scan. Under type, you will select study, always study, and go next. Here you choose the instruments you want to scan through. So you can either do this one by one by picking the instruments one by one and adding them to it. I already have my instrument list defined. And you can do this in MotiveWave. So I'm just going to say, okay, I want to use my NYSE stocks, the stocks that I like, which I currently have 34 instruments in there. I don't want to have more because otherwise the scan will take too long. I click next. Now the time frame for my scan. What do I want to scan through? Let's say you want to scan on the 50-minute time frame, perhaps in addition the 1-minute time frame, and maybe also the, let's say, 5-minute time frame. All right, done. Next. You can choose extended data or not, but we're going to keep it simple. We're only going to choose on the normal regular trading hours. So I click next again. Okay, here I now choose the indicator on which the scan should be based on. So I already said this should be a scan for the 1, 2, 3 strike indicator for long signals. So I will choose 1, 2, 3 strike AO version 1.1, the latest version. All right, now here, the important part. It used to be, if you had the previous generation of the Powerbundle, that the same parameterization of 1 to 3 strike, let's say volatility period of 7, volume period of 34, and so forth, were used for every single symbol and every single time frame. Okay, which, as you can imagine, is not ideal because these are probably not the optimal settings for the symbols, because it will change from symbol to symbol and from time frame to time frame. Now, what's really cool now in this new version is that you can actually perform a scan based on the optimal settings on a per symbol and a per time frame basis. That's pretty cool, huh? All you need to do for this to happen, to enable, is to set the optimize on load setting to yes. That's all you need to do. Once this is done, scanner will always use the optimal settings on a per symbol and per time frame basis. Okay, but one more important thing, actually two more. You must keep or remember what you put in here, the IET optimization lookback in bars. This now will become important later on. So in this case, it's 1,000. Let's keep this in mind. Let's remember 1,000 bars. And another thing, it is very important, otherwise it will not work, that you will set this last parameter, configure for use in scanner to yes. This is something that we needed to do in order to make the optimization feature work in the scanner of MotiveWave. If you have our Supertrend Bullseye indicator, you may already remember this feature because we had it there too. So Supertrend Bullseye is our optimizing or auto-optimizing version of Supertrend for MotiveWave, which also comes with a scanner. And we also had a similar parameter for this. So this must be set to yes if you want to run it in the scanner. Okay, let's set it to yes. And we click add and next. Oh, before I click next, I almost forgot the most important part. Remember when I told you to remember our IET lookback bars, which we set to 1,000? Why did I ask you to remember this? Well, now it comes. This setting here, the minimum bars, needs to be set to twice as big value as our lookback bars. And let me explain to you why. So in this case, 2,000, 2 times as high. Why is that? Well, it's because of the optimization. We asked the optimizer to consider the last 1,000 bars for the optimization. So at the minimum, we should have 1,000 bars loaded for every symbol in the scan. Otherwise, the optimizer will not work. There's too few bars. But why do I ask for 2,000? Well, it's a rule of thumb. Because 1,000 bars is not even enough, because in order to have a signal, we also need additional historical data, which for the very first signal, we need to have at least perhaps 100 or maybe 200 bars loaded to calculate this very first signal. So maybe we need at least 1,200, but for me, as a rule of thumb, because it doesn't hurt, I want to see a value 2 times as high as the IET lookback bars. Okay, in this case, 2,000. So you can use the same rule of thumb. Okay, once done, I click next. And now I can define my study conditions. All right, so we said I want to scan for long entries. All right, so I'm going to go to variable here. There's already a long entry here, but you don't want to use this one. Again, you want to choose the long entry alert version. So keep this in mind, please. Long entry alert. Okay. Operator stays as greater than. That's the same. And as value, you just simply write 0 and click add. All right. Pretty good. One more thing. We also have a look back bars setting here, set to 0 by default. If this is set to 0, you will only see scan results where the entry signal happened at the very last bar. But perhaps you don't want to see this. Maybe you want to see all the signals where an entry happened perhaps 10 bars ago or maybe 20 bars ago. So let's not be as strict. Let's put this to perhaps, I'll say 20. I'm going to see in a second what this does. I click finish. All right, now my scan is defined. You can see it up here, and I can click on start. And once I click on start, I will go through here, go through all my symbols in my list, and hopefully, with any luck, we're going to have some hits. All right, and while this is going through, are there any questions so far?
I'll just give a quick look, Daniel. No question specific to the scanning or the indicators.
All right, perfect. So I'm hoping we do get some signals. You know, this is a live scan. I have not run it before, but with any luck, we will have a couple of entry signals, and then we can have a look at it. And just to give you an outlook, what we're going to do next is we're going to wrap up the scanning session. Then Nicola is going to come on and show us how to create, perhaps in 10 minutes or so, a custom strategy for MotiveWave using our strategy builder. And then we're going to wrap up the session. So hopefully not too much longer. Yeah, this just takes a little while. And Nicola, did I make any mistakes with the scan? I believe not, huh? As far as you could tell?
No, as far as I could tell, didn't seem like you did. You checked the long entry greater than 0. Oh, did you give it a look back?
I did, yeah.
Bars, like within 10 bars, you're looking for.
Yeah. Oh, there we have one. All right.
Great.
Okay. Woohoo. I was just wondering, maybe I made a mistake. So now with any luck, we got a symbol. PHM has a long entry signal actually at the last bar. So with any luck now, while the scan is still running, when I click on this symbol, we will see now an entry signal on the last completed bar, which is indeed the case. You may wonder, why is it not shown for this bar here? Because this is again a MotiveWave issue. MotiveWave does not deem this bar here as completed yet. So this is also why it shows bar index here as 0, which stands for the last bar. In MotiveWave terminology, the last completed bar, which is this one here. So you see here that we had an entry signal here indeed. All right, great. All right, here we had another one, XOM. Let me click on this one. Again, on the 5-minute time frame. And again, we do have an entry signal at this last completed bar. As you can see here, even more bars and more symbols are coming in. Great. Okay, but there's one more thing. I'm going to stop this scan because I don't want to, we don't have to wait till the end, but you get the point. But there's one more thing what you can do. Let me just stop it. And let me go back to the settings of the scan. It doesn't really look at stopping. Again, this might be a small MotiveWave issue. I wanted to go back to the, I guess we have to wait until it's finished. All right. Because there's one more thing I wanted to show you. Wouldn't it be nice if you could define the scan so that will only show signals if the IET, if the statistics are high enough, maybe only above 70% for long entries, or maybe only above 75%? That would be pretty cool. So let me quickly show you, as soon as the scan is finished, how you can set this up by adding an additional scan condition. All right, so let's just be a bit patient. We're almost there. And then we have, I'm going to show you how this can be done. And if you have questions, of course, feel free to ask me while this is completing. And if you're wondering, how do I set up these scan conditions for Divergence Cloud or for short trades? It's exactly the same thing. There's no difference. They're all set up the same way. All right. So the scan is now complete and we had these 5 signals. So let me quickly go to my settings again. I'm going to show you now how I can set up my criteria so that I'm also incorporating the IET statistics into my scan criteria. So for this to happen, I will add an additional evaluation to it. I'm clicking on this plus sign here. Again, I will choose my 1, 2, 3 strike indicator. But for variable, instead of long entry alert, which we had here, I will choose my long efficiency, just this value here. And let's say I only want to see the scan result if the long IET, the long efficiency is above, I don't know, 75%. I type 75 as value here. I click add. And now I have a second condition for my scan. Condition 1 is that we have an entry signal. Oops. And condition 2 is that the IET is above 75% for long trades. I click OK. And now if I reran, I'm not going to do it now because it's going to take too long, the scan, you will see that we will have fewer signals most likely, and only the ones where the IET was above that value. Okay, so this is how you can set up a scan which has an additional criteria built in. Okay. Whew. So that was a long demonstration. Let me quickly go back to my slides. And before Nicholas is going to show us how to create a strategy, just a quick reminder of what you should keep in mind when it comes to the Powerbundle AO for MotiveWave. So for alerts, make sure that you always use the alert condition, which has this little alert in brackets, like long entry in brackets alert, or short entry in parentheses alert. As condition, defined as cross above, we had this as a dropdown, and then the smallest tick value. So if it's for a futures contract, for example, cross above 0.25. It's for an equity or a stock, like IBM, cross above 0.01. Okay, so it's a little reminder to how to define these alerts. For scans, which we have just seen, make sure you enable the configure for use in scanner option. Set to yes, it's very important, otherwise it's not going to work. For minimum bars, set them 2 times as high as the IET look back bars if you're scanning for optimized signals. Okay, and make sure that you use the alert variable again with brackets for your scan condition. As a reminder. All right, so a quick repeat. If your chart loads slowly because of our indicators, that's most likely because the optimization is taking too long. What you can do to speed it up is to either use a lower optimization mode, perhaps simplified, reduce the look back bars for the optimization, because as I mentioned before, the more bars you have in your look back period, the longer it will take. Or, this is what I do sometimes, I will disable optimize on load altogether. And I will only optimize on demand by clicking on the optimize button. Okay. And finally, how do I know what the optimal settings are? Which settings have been deemed optimal? It's quite easy. First of all, you make sure it's been optimized by clicking on the optimize button. Then you have to close the settings and reopen them. And then you will look at the values in the settings. You will look at what the sliders are saying and what the text boxes are saying. And these were the settings which have been deemed optimal. Okay. So just a quick reminder. All right. So are there any questions, Nicholas?
Yes, we have a question from Peter. I'm not sure if it's already on the YouTube channel. The demonstration we just did for the Powerbundle AO for NinjaTrader, is that already up, the video?
Yeah, that's up. Mhm.
So Peter, I'm going to post our YouTube channel in the chat and you can find the video there.
Yeah, it's the long video, which is almost 2 hours.
And Giovanni wants to know, how often should we be scanning time-wise?
Oh, it depends on your time frame. If you are on a 1 minute time frame, probably you want to scan, I don't know, every couple of minutes. If you're on the daily, once a day, it really depends on the time frame.
Okay, and one other question, I've already kind of answered it, from Alice, is he wants to trade cryptocurrency. Oh, 1 second, he has a new question. Large amount of cryptocurrency. Can the indicators, well, Alice, we cannot predict what will happen in the next year for BTC and ETH at all. But if you look at a larger time frame, you might get a good statistically relevant answer from one of the indicators. But also, Daniel, his question was with respect to how MotiveWave could trade cryptos as a platform. And I kind of answered that MotiveWave does not excel at cryptos. In fact, it can only trade spot. It cannot trade margin or futures on Kraken or Binance. So I was wondering if you have any comments on that, cryptos in MotiveWave.
No, I don't. But I know that MotiveWave is evolving very quickly, and new brokers are added all the time. So I would not be surprised if this is too far away. But I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Daniel, I also have a question from a couple of users that want to know if the Powerbundle 360 without auto optimization will still be maintained. I told them for the near future it will be. Usually, if a product is shelved, we go through a large process to investigate if that's necessary or not. So I don't know if you wanted to comment on that.
Yeah, definitely it will stay valid and active forever. And we also are planning to maintain it for quite some time moving into the future. So there's no requirement for you that you must upgrade to the auto optimization version. The older version works perfectly. It just doesn't have the auto optimization feature built in. And of course, if there are bugs or any improvements we can do to that particular generation, we're still going to continue doing it.
Okay, great.
Great. All right. Last topic for today, strategy building. Now, what is a strategy? Well, a strategy is typically referred to as an automation of something, which runs without human or manual intervention. And in this case, we're going to automate trading. So we're going to create an algorithm which will trade fully automatically for you. And the cool thing is, this whole thing can be done completely without any programming skills, because we have created a tool which is called the MotiveWave Strategy Builder. If you're interested, go to tradingindicators.com/strategy, where you find all the information about this tool and how you can get it. But this will allow you to create your own automated strategies. And once you have an automated strategies, you can do really cool things. For example, you can run it in the market replay mode of MotiveWave to get an idea of how profitable it would have been based on some historical data. Or once you're happy with it, you can apply it in live trading and it will automatically carry out the trades for you. And now we're going to create one automated strategy based on our Powerbundle AO. We call this the filtered Volatilitycrusher strategy. And as the name suggests, it is based on an optimized version of Volatilitycrusher, an AO version. And we're going to take long and short entries. And we're also going to follow the exit suggestions of Volatilitycrusher. In addition to this, we're going to define two filters. We're only going to take trades if our statistics is above 65%. And in addition to this, if the entry direction is in line with Divergence Cloud. Remember the cloud on the chart, which we can use as filters for our own trading system? We're going to do exactly this. We're going to use the cloud color as an additional filter for this strategy. And the really cool thing is we're actually going to define the cloud in a way so that it will automatically re-optimize every so many bars. And how this can be done in just a few seconds or seconds, I'm exaggerating. In just a few minutes, Nicola will show you now. So Nicola, do you want to take over?
Yeah, sure thing. So I'm going to share my screen. So here I'm on an ES futures 5-minute chart. And what I'm going to do, Daniel just explained it, is I'm going to combine Volatilitycrusher and Divergence Cloud into a strategy and also just give a quick overview of how the strategy builder works and how you can tie in, if you already know, these new auto optimization features with it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to apply the new Volatilitycrusher version 1.1, AO version 1.1 to the chart. And when I apply to the charts, it's automatically optimized. We see we have some good IET. And what we're going to do with this strategy is we're not only going to take the long or short entries from Volatilitycrusher and set our targets in our strategy based on the targets of the indicator and our stop loss based on the stop loss of the indicator. We're also going to use Divergence Cloud as a secondary filter. So let me just apply Divergence Cloud here. So basically our idea here is that if we get a Volatilitycrusher entry signal and we have a green cloud from Divergence Cloud, then we're going to take the entry. If we have a long entry and there's no cloud, we're not going to take the entry. So for example, here we had this short trade from Volatilitycrusher, which didn't work out. We hit our stop loss. We wouldn't have taken this trade because there's no red cloud there. So I'm just going to show how we can kind of play around with these new indicators with the strategy builder to set up some logic like this. And of course, there's like unlimited possibilities for what you can do in combining all of the indicators. So what we're going to do is we've applied these two indicators, but now I'm just going to set up some things that kind of match my preference. So one interesting thing we're going to do, and this is kind of the demo for the re-optimization feature. We had some questions about this. So let's say you apply the indicator Volatilitycrusher or Divergence Cloud 1, 2, 3 strike to a chart and you're trading. You don't necessarily always want to have to be going into the settings and clicking optimize to re-optimize, every hour, trying to set some regular interval. So what you can do is you can come into the settings here for Divergence Cloud, and you can say, hey, I want the indicator to re-optimize automatically, find the best settings automatically every certain amount of bars. And in this case, I'm going to say I want Divergence Cloud to re-optimize and find better settings every 50 bars. So let's say from this point to this point, Divergence Cloud will reevaluate and say, okay, what are the new best settings? Which clouds make the most sense to draw on the chart? So we have that logic encoded here. I've enabled that, re-optimize automatically. So we have an automatic re-optimizing Divergence Cloud. Then I have Volatilitycrusher on the chart. And by the way, I also, Daniel mentioned this, if you have slow time optimizing, check out your optimization parameters, but I have a quite fast computer. So I'm going to go ahead, because we're in replay mode, things are quite accelerated as opposed to real time. The bars will be moving fast, so I have no problem clicking standard mode here. It'll finish the calculation in time to not cause any lag. So I'm going to have Divergence Cloud optimize at standard mode and Volatilitycrusher optimize at standard mode as well. And essentially what these modes mean is that on simplified, it's going to test, let's say, 100 or 200 configurations of settings. On standard mode, it might test 800. On exhaustive, it might test 3000. So the heavier the mode you select, the more settings it's going to test and probably the better results you're going to get. So I have Divergence Cloud automatically re-optimizing every 50 bars, and I have Volatilitycrusher optimized with standard mode. But I'm not going to have Volatilitycrusher automatically re-optimize. I'm going to have it optimized manually at the start, and then I'm just going to let it run. And just to give it some extra look back time so that I can expect that it will continue to work similarly well going into the future, I'm actually going to double the look back here to 2000. So I wanted to see what are the best settings over the last 2000 bars. So quite a while. So I'll come here, I'll optimize, down to optimizing. Okay, good IET, optimized Divergence Cloud. And now we're going to go and build our strategy. So we built this thing called the strategy builder for MotiveWave. And the way this works is it's basically a strategy builder, if you've ever used NinjaTrader, that allows you to build your own automated strategies based on indicators on the chart. So I'm going to go ahead, and the first step we take when we open the strategy builder is naming our strategy. So I'm going to call this Volatilitycrusher with auto optimized Divergence Cloud filter. A nice long name. And then we select where we're going to save it. I'll save it in a random folder here. And we can now set the logic for our strategy. In global settings, what I always like to do is, first of all, set the calculation method. And I apologize if I'm going quick with respect to the strategy builder, but it's not the focus of this webinar. I'm just trying to show exactly how we can set it up for these indicators. So right away, you want to go into global settings and click on bar update, because we want to get the indicators, or we want to read the values from the indicators immediately as they come in. So we don't want to wait till the bar closes. We always want to have it on update. The strategy should be as real time as possible. Now I go over to my trading plans, and this is where we can set up the logic for our strategy. What do we want our strategy to do, when whatever happens? If we get a Divergence Cloud long entry, do we want to go long? Do we want to go long if we have a Divergence Cloud entry and a Volatilitycrusher entry, etc.? You can do basically anything. We can use any indicator, RSI, moving averages, etc. But for our case here, I'm going to be looking for long entries from Volatilitycrusher and short entries from Volatilitycrusher. So I create my first plan for a trade, and this is going to be my long entry plan. And let me just actually reset. Well, I should have reset these before, but basically it's the same thing as if we'd started from scratch. When I've created my long entry plan, I open up my plot conditions. And our first plot condition is we're looking for a long entry from Volatilitycrusher. So here, I want to select as my plot a long entry alert, just like with the regular alerts. Find that from Volatilitycrusher. Long entry alert right here. So when we get a long entry alert 0 bars ago, so it just happened, and when the value of that plot is greater than 0, a numerical value of 0, we know there has been a long entry. So in that case, the action we're going to take, we can set account conditions, time conditions. Do we want to trade at X time, at this time of day, this day of week, etc. We're going to ignore all that. When we get a Volatilitycrusher long entry, the action we want to take is an entry, and we want the entry type to be a long entry. And what we're going to do, because Volatilitycrusher has 2 profit targets, it closes out half its position at the first one by default, and then it closes out the rest at the second profit target or at the stop loss. So for our entry, we're going to enter for a specific quantity. In this case, it could be anything, or I'm just going to keep it simple. We're going to enter for 2 shares or 2 units of ES futures long when we get a long entry from Volatilitycrusher. And for our second plan, now we have our long trades covered. We're going to create a short entry plan. And we're going to open our plot conditions. And similarly to what we just did, we're going to say, when we get a short entry alert right here, when that plot is greater than the numerical value of 0, so there was a short entry alert, then our action that we're going to take in our strategy will be a short entry, and it'll be a market order, and we're going to enter for 2 shares or 2 units short. So if we followed this, the strategy would basically go long here, short here, short here, short here, short here, long here. But we want to add some extra, interesting stuff because we have these new indicators out. So for our long entry, not only are we going to require there to be a Volatilitycrusher long entry signal, but I don't want to enter long entries from Volatilitycrusher when there's bad statistics. Like if the long efficiency for Volatilitycrusher is 21%, why would I want to enter on that trade? It's a bad bet. Historically, it has not worked out. So I'm going to add another condition here. And the next condition will be if the long efficiency of Volatilitycrusher, so the historical win rate, is greater than 65. So we have at least 65% win rate. Then I'm going to take that entry. And on top of that, not only am I going to wait on these 2 conditions, I also want to see that we have a bullish cloud on a bullish divergence cloud occurring. So I'll add another condition. I'll scroll down to bullish cloud alert right here. And when you're using these indicators, whenever there's an alert plot available, you always use the alert plot. So when we have a bullish cloud alert, 0 bars ago. So when there was a bullish cloud, when bullish cloud is true, so you know for Divergence Cloud, the conditions in the strategy builder for the cloud color are always is false or is true. So when the bullish cloud is true, then we'll take that long entry. And I'm going to do something similar for the short trades. So we initially had, we're just going to take the short entry if we have a Volatilitycrusher short entry signal. Well, now I also want to make sure that my short efficiency from Volatilitycrusher is greater than 65 as well. So I'm not going to take statistically improbable signals. And again, I'm only going to take this trade when we have a bearish cloud alert. So there's a red cloud happening. So when that is true, then we'll take this short trade when all three of these things are true. Okay, so that's it for our entries, our short and long entries. But with Volatilitycrusher, we have 2 profit targets and we have a stop loss. So we've set our entries, but how do we know when to exit the trade? So the next thing we do is we hop into the targets and stops plot. And for our long entries, our long trades, we're going to have 2 targets and we're going to have 1 stop, right? And for our short trades, we're going to have 2 targets and 1 stop. So in our targets here, I'm going to create 2 targets for our long trades, 2 targets for our stops, and 2 targets for our long trades and 2 targets for our short trades, and then 1 stop for our long trades and 1 stop for our short trades. So up here for our long trades, I'll click on my first target. I'll associate this with my long entry. So this is telling the strategy builder that when we get that long entry, that plan we set up, when that happens, then I want this to be one of the targets. So the order type for this is going to be a limit order. We're going to set a limit order the second we go long at one of those targets. So I set limit. I say the target type, we're not setting it based on the amount of ticks or the percentage gain. We're setting it based on a plot, and the plot is the target from Volatilitycrusher. So I select plot based, and then I can come down here to price input. And the price input I'm looking for is target 1. It's called from Volatilitycrusher. So when we hit Volatilitycrusher's first target, we're going to set a limit sell order on our long trade. And the order size is going to be a percentage of our position. So I click into order size, percentage of strategy position. I'm going to close out 50% of the trade. So once we hit that first target, we close out 50%. And now we see our long target 1 here. We have long entry is our plan we're associating this with. It's based on the target 1 plot. It's a limit order and it's closing 50%. This is all good. Now we move to our second long target. We'll do the exact same thing. We associate it with the long entry. We make it a limit order. We make it based on a plot based. But in this case, it's going to be based on target 2, not target 1. So when we hit target 2, we're not going to close out 50% of the trade. We're just going to close out the remaining position. Or, we can even say we're going to close out the total strategy position. So once we hit that second target, we're just closing out everything in the target, in the position. Okay. So we've now set our 2 targets for long entry. We can go ahead and do the exact same thing for our short trades. So I'm going to associate this target with short entry, and I'll speed it up a bit here. Order type is limits, plot based. When we hit target 1, we will close out a percentage of the position. That'll be 50%. When we hit target 2 for our short entry, make that a limit order, plot based. The input will be target 2. When we hit target 2, we're going to close out the rest of the strategy, the total strategy position. So we have our target set for our long and our short entries. We now move on to the stop loss. So we'll set first our long entry stop loss. So when we have a long trade, we want to place a stop order right when we get it, when we enter the trade. We want it to be plot based, and our input will be the stop loss of the Volatilitycrusher indicator. And not only will it be the stop loss, but we want it, well, first of all, we want it to close out the total strategy position, the rest of the strategy position, but we also want it to follow that plot because the Volatilitycrusher stop is a trailing stop. It moves. So we want it to follow that plot and we want it to trail. So we click OK. This is done. And we'll do the same thing for our short entry associated with our short trade. Set the order type to stop, plot-based, stop loss, follow, and trail. And we'll set the order size to close out the rest of the strategy position. So now we've just built this strategy that we just theorized before, and we'll see as the strategy runs that it's doing exactly what we expect it to do. So where are we? Okay, I'm in replay mode already. Yeah, I'm in replay mode. So I'm going to activate the strategy and we'll see what happens. Take a quick look. Okay, so, and this is actually an interesting tip if you use MotiveWave. You know about this cursor data window here. It's very awkward because it's tiny and you can't expand it. So if you did not already know this, see if they added this. Oh, no, they didn't already add it. If you didn't already know this, you can hop over to an optimize window or a scan window and hop over here in the toolbar to view and click cursor data window. And it kind of opens this secret. It's not very, a lot of people don't know about this, but it opens this cursor data window that's actually resizable. And it's not confined to a chart. It follows you wherever you go in MotiveWave. So that's very interesting. Anyways, we'll be making use of this. So our strategy just took this trade. So we had a Volatilitycrusher short trade. So why did it take this trade? Well, let's look into the cursor data window. So if we look in that box over there, I can't move my mouse because I need to be highlighting this bar. But if you look, the first time it mentions short efficiency, it says it's at 77.78. And if you remember, our condition was that we needed the short efficiency to be over 65. So that's satisfied. We had a Volatilitycrusher short signal. And at the bottom of that window, you see it says bearish cloud 1, which means true. So we had a Volatilitycrusher short signal. The IET was over, the efficiency was over 65, and we had a bearish cloud. So these are all the conditions our strategy required to enter, and that's why it entered. So we'll see how this trade plays out. Let it run a bit more. We can see our trailing stop. We pause it, move this data window. We can see our trailing stop here has been following the Volatilitycrusher plot. It's now down here. We've hit our first target. We'll let the strategy run. We hit our second target. Okay. And another thing I want to point out is I mentioned before, Divergence Cloud is constantly re-optimizing as the strategy runs. Of course, the bars will be moving slower in real time, but this is auto-optimizing constantly. So if you look here, it says 75%, 73%. You'll often see these drastically change once Divergence Cloud undergoes a re-optimization every 50 bars. So here we just had a long entry and then a short entry on Volatilitycrusher, and the strategy didn't take either of them. The IET is good. We can see down in the Volatilitycrusher panel that there's good efficiency, but there's no cloud here. That's why it ignored those trades. And thankfully, because we actually hit a stop and then we hit a stop again. So here again, we had a short entry. The IET was good. Let me just open up the cursor data window. And I'm going to stop reviewing constantly, but I just want to make the point. Bearish cloud. Just scroll down. So here we had our short entry right here. And if we look in the cursor data window, we see bearish cloud alert is 1.0, which means it was true. We had a bearish cloud at that moment, which is why we took that short trade. No cloud, we ignored a long entry. Ignored a short entry, et cetera, et cetera. And this is just really an example of the kind of ways you can combine all the indicators. Of course, you can combine any indicator with these for your filtering systems, entry systems, whatever you can think of. This is just a nice example to show how we can incorporate. We just recently added the ability to kind of scan or include the efficiency as a condition, which is interesting. As we're doing here, we're checking for over 65% efficiency. So I really just wanted to demonstrate this.
That's awesome. Thanks, Nicola. I think there was a very slick demonstration of what can be done with the Powerbundle now that we have the new optimization feature. in conjunction with our strategy builder, which is also available for MotiveWave. All right, so I think I'm going to take over the screen, Nicholas.
Yeah.
And we're going to wrap up this webinar. Okay, so if you guys are wondering, wow, are these indicators for me, yes or no? Well, if you believe, and I believe in this with all my heart, because I'm an engineer and I believe in tools making my life easier. I believe in having a good software development tools available to me just to make my life easier. If you believe that good intelligent tools can make your trading life easier, then I truly, I'm certain that our Powerbundle AO is a tool for you, which will make your trading life easier and will help you, of course, make better trading decisions. So if that's the case, then yes, the indicators are for you. But also, if you're interested in, becoming a better trader and, of course, getting better results in trading, again, I believe the Powerbundle AO indicators, especially with the optimization function, are the tools for you or that you can take most advantage of. Now, I know many of you already have it, but if you have not yet access to our Powerbundle AO indicators, they are still available for a limited time for life at $997. We are going to, and I know I said this the last time too, but it is really coming. We're moving towards a subscription model, but we're not there yet. It's coming very soon, but we still have the lifetime option available for $997. And if you want to lock in the lifetime option, you're never going to be asked for any payment again. You can do this by simply going to tradingindicators.com/AO. Again, AO stands for auto optimization. And this will get you of course, the auto optimization feature. It will give you all the statistics, basically everything you've seen today. We'll give you 1 to 3 strike, which is our trend expert. It will give you Divergence Cloud, which is our pullback or reversal finder, and Volatilitycrusher, the breakout trader, and a whole bunch of other goodies, such as an ebook on our special form of divergence, the one that we've discovered in our lab, which we call volatility momentum divergence, and with all kinds of information of why this works and how you can take advantage of this form of divergence in your trading. Of course, we're also going to give you a 5-hour masterclass on demand, which are recorded with where everything is explained. Every single parameter of our indicators is explained, what it does, why it is there, and how you can take advantage of it. Today, we didn't have time to go through it, but in this masterclass, we explain everything. And of course, and you know this already, you will be invited to our Tech Talks, which happen every second Thursday at 6 p.m. And you will be part of our community. So you'll be one of us. You have direct access to myself, to Nicholas, to Homer, to our entire team. We're very open. It's been a bit rough last week where we were very busy with work, but normally we answer super fast, and I even give my private phone number out to traders. You can call me and anytime, more or less, to answer questions and so forth. So you really will become part of our community if you join us via the Powerbundle AO offering. And if you're wondering, okay, now I already have the older version of the Powerbundle, or perhaps I already have an older indicated, maybe 1 to 3 strike, but not the whole bundle. How can I upgrade? Actually, quite easy. All you need to do is to write us an email at info@tradingindicators.com, or simply go to our homepage and write into the contact form there. Just tell us, hey, I would like to update to the AO version of the Powerbundle. No problem. I was going to look at what you've done already, and you can simply upgrade by paying the price difference. There's no problem there whatsoever. So simply write us an email if you're interested in updating to the AO version. Now, if you're wondering, hey, where does this cool strategy builder come from that Nicola has shown, which can do so many things? What he's shown today is just really one use case, but you can do so many things. So it is really an amazing tool. It is also available on our homepage at tradingindicators.com/strategy. So if you type this in, it's going to get you to the homepage of our strategy builder, product page. We can see all the features. We're going to have plenty of videos there and so forth, where everything is explained of what this amazing tool can do. And as you can see, it allows you to click together very fast within a few minutes, a fully automated strategy, which is quite sophisticated. I mean, this is the strategy. If you had to program this manually, you would have to hire someone like me. And not only would it take a long time to get the work done for the turnaround, but also, of course, it would be quite pricey. Now, with this strategy builder, you can just do it yourself without any programming knowledge in a matter of minutes, which is a great benefit. And again, if you believe in tools making your life easier, and that's another tool that definitely will make your trading life easier, because it not only allows you to create your own automated strategies with trade everything automatically for you, but it will also allow you to back test your strategies before you set it live. Maybe you only have a hunch of something that might work. Always giving the same example. Maybe this MA crossed over MA, I don't know, 33 over 22 or something. This has given me some really good results. I want to trade this live. Well, now with the strategy builder, you can implement the strategy in a matter of minutes and back test it in market replay. And then oftentimes you will come to the realization, maybe this idea was not so good, and you would not trade it live, and this could save you a lot of money. All right. So this is also available on our homepage, and I encourage you to take a look. And again, a reminder, the Powerbundle AO with auto optimization is available for live right now, but it's going to go away and will be replaced by a by a subscription model. Okay, so Homa, are there any questions? Or Nicholas?
No, I think we're good. If anybody does have any further questions, please feel free to email us. We're always happy to answer. No, I think that's it. It was a great tech talk. We really went over, but we appreciate everybody actually staying on. I was looking at the numbers, and almost everybody stayed on for the whole thing, so that's wonderful.
Yeah, congratulations. I mean, I can only imagine that it cannot be easy to listen to me, especially for such a long time. So I'm very happy that you guys stayed on. I know your time is valuable, so thank you so much for listening and giving us the chance to present our power bundle for MotiveWave. So thanks so much. You all deserve a nice evening now, a good rest, and hopefully see you soon in one of our tech talks.
And
thanks,
Daniel, I know because you just said it's hard to listen to you. I don't think that's the case at all. We have a bunch of people saying thank you to you, and John is saying Daniel is the best. So I think a lot of the audience disagrees with what you just said.
All right. Thank you, guys. That's awesome. Okay. So in this case, I see you all in 2 weeks' time at our next tech talk. And if you have questions, go to tradingindicators.com, to our contact form, join our community. And it's great to have you on board. Have a nice evening. Bye-bye, guys.